Good evening, everybody. It's Wednesday, December 16th, 2020, and this is the WORT Board of Directors meeting. It's 7:07 in the evening, and we're going to start the meeting. Everybody's here except for Eric Finch at this time, and I'll keep an eye out in the waiting room. If he comes, I will let him in as soon as possible. So I put out an incredibly complex agenda today. Well, actually over the last several days. And so the next order of business on the table is to adopt that agenda or to make changes to it. Are there anybody who had any changes to that? Unless there are any objections, let's consider that adopted. Click. I put a set of the minutes from the November meeting in the folder for everybody to read. It follows my new format for minutes, which is essentially to rename the agenda file and make notes on that so that I can use that and I don't have to type everything out because I'm a lazy kind of guy. So I will put in the votes and brief comments about discussions and so on. So. Has everybody seen the November minutes, and are there any comments or changes? Welcome, Eric. Hearing no comments or additions on the November 2020 minutes, we will consider those changed, approved. There's a guest with Eric. Hello.
Yeah.
Nice. I have nothing in communications from the public, and there are no executive committee actions since the last meeting. Next item is the combined treasurers and finance committee report, and that is Marty. I'll get your graphic up, Marty, as soon as I figure out where it is. There it is. Oh, don't do that. Okay. Well, my computer is saying, you didn't say Simon Says to share your screen, so.
Marty, you're muted.
Okay. The meeting today was uneventful. We're in good condition. There were no serious flaws in the bookkeeping or problems that we discovered. Doug and I have to work on improving a situation that I'm supposed to be doing, reviewing our bank statement and the reconciliation the bookkeeper made. That's been hard to do because I used to do that in the building the day of the finance committee meeting. And so Doug and I have to figure out a way to do that. We got a letter from Dave was telling us about from Heartland, and we have to send in the information to request a waiver, so that will be done.
The forgiveness on the PPP loan, yeah.
Yeah, the forgiveness on the PPP loan. So that's.
By the way, Marty, I can't share the screen without having to restart my Zoom meeting, and I don't have to stop and start the Zoom meeting. So.
Okay. Well, I'll see if I can share it. So So that was the finance committee meeting. The treasurer's report. David, I think you have to allow me to share a
Okay.
document or share my screen, I mean.
Make him a co-host and he can share.
All right. I just made you a co-host, Marty. Thank you, Stu.
I don't know where that came from, but my Zoom thing, scheduling. How do I get?
You have to open the doc. Is the document open?
Yes.
Unshare your screen and then get the document up and then share your screen again.
Yeah, I didn't do that. And I've got some kind of Zoom. Okay. Now it's back to the top. Share. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah, I was there for a moment. There it is.
Okay. This is a little bit different than the way I've been doing it because I don't have access to directly from my computer to the bank statement. So I used to give you checks that were outstanding and things like that, which I don't know right now. But you will see in the left column that says reconciled starting balance. That was the reconciled balance at the end of October. So November 1st, we started with the totals down at the bottom of $505,198.35. The reconciled November is in the column on the second from the right, and the balance now is $550,918.66. And on the right column, you can see the changes that were made in the accounts.
That's the bottom is cut off because of the resolution. Can you scroll down on that spreadsheet?
Okay, can you see the bottom now?
The last line is line 19.
Line 19. Maybe if I make it smaller.
Just go and grab that scroll bar and drag it down, or roll.
Yeah, I was down there and I've scrolled down.
Well, it's not showing it.
Okay. Well, the balance now has increased by 40 of all of our accounts, $45,720.31. For the newer board members, we have 3 accounts at Heartland and 3 accounts at Summit. And that we are required to have a savings account in each credit union. So that's $20 at Heartland and $5 at Summit. The other 2 accounts are set up in the way they are to earn the better dividend. We have a checking account at Summit and no checking account at Heartland. So right now we have technically 6 accounts. When we know what's going to happen with the PPP and if we don't have to pay any money back, we're going to shift that money that's in Heartland into a higher dividend account. But right now we're leaving it where it is because if we do have to give it back, the account we want to ship it in has a penalty for withdrawing money above a certain amount or too many times a month. It's 2 or 3 times a month and we can withdraw. So we're managing that to keep to keep our dividends coming in better. And you don't see changes for November because we don't earn dividends on some of those accounts until 3 months are up. So that's how we're managing the money. It's just a small introduction to it. The bookkeeper knows much better than I do. My job is not to be a bookkeeper. She knows, can explain the individual line to line, and Doug's pretty good at that, also understanding it. But we see each month, we see changes, and the changes on the summit account of 45,625 are from the fund drive we had in October and in November, I mean, and not all of that money has even been entered yet because not everybody has paid. So these are in months where we don't have fund drives and don't have a large amount of money coming in, you will see negative in the change where we're spending more than we're taking in that month. But the big thing that we should be concerned about is the ending balance. It's $550,918.66. And then the other side of that is the large amount of money that we pay out each month in different categories. And that's what we look at. The finance committee, we look at that and we make recommendations to the board, or they make recommendations to me to move money based on those kinds of things, those kinds of considerations. So I tried to make this as simple as possible. I hope it is. Did the line shift on it for you?
No,
Unfortunately not.
no.
Okay. Well, I've asked David to put it in the folder. I'm still learning Google Docs and I can't get it into the right folder. So I've got to talk to Tom about that sometime when he has time and get better educated on Google Docs. So this will be in the meeting folder for tonight and you can look at it.
It's actually there now.
Okay. Are there any questions? Okay, I don't hear any, so I think my report can end. Get on to something less boring.
Thank you very much. It's nice that we're in good shape.
Yes, the best since I've been on the board in 4 years. So thank you, everybody.
So with that information, you said something about for new directors, but that was a useful refresher for me. I think I'd heard some of those things and forgotten them in the couple of years probably since I heard them last. So that was good.
Okay, I should do that every time we have a board election.
Yep.
Okay, well,
Okay.
thank you.
You can unshare.
Let's see, where does that happen? Cancel. See, I don't have any of the Zoom things down on the bottom of the screen right now. My shaking is really bad tonight. Okay.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the programming committee report. And that report is in the shared documents file. And there is an action item to approve Adrian Rani and Sabi Atayi to the program committee. Anybody from the programming committee want to discuss that or make comments?
Sure, I can briefly do it. Both are very actively involved in WORT programming, and we welcome them to the committee. We now are at full strength, so we moved their admission to the committee.
Excellent. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving these two new members to the programming committee, say aye. Or raise your hands.
Aye.
All
Aye.
right.
Aye.
Gil, I can't tell, and good. Okay, good. The motion carries. All opposed, say no. Are there any abstentions? Okay, we make that a unanimous approval. Policy and Bylaws Committee report. Does someone want to talk about that report? There was a report there. Stu, would you like to make a comment?
Well, it's a short report. It's only 2 or 3 sentences. We started to work on the volunteer handbook, and I think we're going to make good progress. And if things go well, we can have it back to the board by the February meeting, although it may very well come back in March, depending on a couple of things that are out of our control. And we've got a good start on it, and we'll proceed.
Very good. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, we will proceed. The Community Advisory Board report is in the folder, and there is an action item to approve new members to the Community Advisory Board, and that's in Glenn's report, so we'll get to that later in the agenda. The Technology and Facilities Director report. Tom Jones made that report. Tom, I'd like you to make the announcement of what you did today at the transmitter.
Okay. I went out and met Jason from TDS, and he got the fiber finally connected there. It was rather anticlimactic, actually. I stood there and watched him, but it was better than the last time I met Jason out there, where it failed miserably.
So what this does is it gives us a second connection, or actually a third connection right now at the transmitter site, so that we can make our connection from the studio to the transmitter to send our sound out and to be able to remotely make sure the transmitter is running and that its power is correct and all those things. So we've been notified by TDS that AT&T has notified TDS that AT&T will no longer repair copper wires that TDS leases, and we also lease a T1 connection from another carrier. And if that goes away, then we only have a single connection to the transmitter, and if that fails, then we are not on the air. So this gives us a second, a redundant connection again, and fiber, I think, is a better bandwidth. We have a 1.5 megabit circuit now, and we're going to get a 5 megabit circuit, I think.
More than that, actually.
Oh, okay.
But it's
Okay,
it's,
maybe it's a 50. Yeah, you're right.
it's good unless there's a backhaul within a 50-mile radius.
Right.
Other than that, it's fine.
Oh, that'll never happen. That's famous last words. So, thank you very much. Other items from engineering that you wanted to note? We have to approve an action item. So in order to connect two things at the same time at the transmitter, professionally, we need a new, better router out there. The current router only allows us to make one internet connection, and then we have a second consumer router out there to make the second connection. So for $500, we're going to get a new device from a Cisco company called Meraki. And so that would cost $500, and that wasn't in the budget. So we would like the board to approve that. So are there any questions from the board? Hearing none, all in favor of approving a $500 expenditure for a new router at the transmitter, say aye or give us a thumbs up.
Aye.
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 All opposed, say no or give us a thumbs down. Oh, and a throat clearing is not counting.
Yeah, no, it's not a no.
And are there any abstentions? So I will consider that a unanimous approval. I find that if I make my notes now, it's a lot easier. Tom also included a second document, which was the notes from the engineering committee. There are no action items there. And he doesn't make his engineering committee notes very hard to read, so it should be pretty easy read. Next is the business and events report, and that's Doug's group. And Doug, do you want to comment on the hiring process?
Oh, just that it's time to start thinking about 2 board members stepping up for the hiring committee to replace the position of volunteer and outreach coordinator when Glenn retires in June. So this process will probably need to start around February, March, according to the timeline in the hiring guidelines. So I was thinking if I brought it up now, we could maybe figure out who the 2 board members would be to join Glenn and I, and 2 to be determined volunteers for the hiring committee. So I thought then we'd have a month to think about it, whoever felt they would have the time, because it is a pretty significant time requirement to hire a staff collective member. There's a lot of deliberations. Although I find that this format is going to make that possibly a little easier.
I think so.
Than the face-to-face meetings that we've had to do in the past. It could be an interesting process. So just wanted to throw it out there to get people thinking about it.
Do you want answers tonight, or are you just getting people
I mean,
the idea?
if 2 people jump up and say they want to do it tonight, great. Then we're ahead of the game.
And I also note that there may be some need to review the actual hiring process, and that's a assignment that the Policies and Bylaws Committee believes has to start with the Personnel Committee, not with us. And so, I think that's got to be operating on a dual track prior to actually undertaking the hiring process, is to review the existing guidelines.
Yeah, and the staff is just about done going through the hiring guidelines themselves to pass those on to personnel.
Okay.
So we've got marked up with comments on, just what staff notices from hirings in the past and suggested changes, and then we're ready to pass it off to personnel.
Okay. Is the thought that the hiring committee members should or shouldn't be people existing on the personnel committee? Or is that irrelevant?
I think it's somewhat irrelevant, though. I think if a personnel committee member was on the hiring committee, I think it would be helpful, actually. I think, why don't I just say that helpful but not required?
Okay.
Yeah, and I would love to volunteer for that, you guys, but with a full-time job, I just don't think I can, contribute as much as you need.
Well, that's why I put it out there that it is a lot of work to hire somebody.
Yeah.
So I just want to, fair warning.
Thank you, Doug.
Yeah, rather than have people necessarily step up in the open meeting like this. Maybe people can, over the next couple of weeks, reflect on it and contact Dave, and we can come up at the next meeting for.
I'd be happy to do it that way. Then we're not putting people on the spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to put anybody under this.
Yeah.
Want to do it early so that we can make a thoughtful process. So that, because the worst thing that could happen is somebody steps up, they want to be on the hiring committee, and then halfway through the process, they realize that they can't commit to that much time.
So I think it's going to be necessary to finalize what the procedures are, so people know what's going to be required of them.
Exactly. Good point.
Before they sign on.
Yeah, one thing I can send out now is the hiring guidelines timeline. That's not expected to change all that much. And it does give a good outline of the process of the hire to give a better idea of how much of a time commitment it actually is. So I could get that out to the board right away.
Okay.
Great. And I've been on several hiring committees in the past. There are intense times, but again, the fact that there are no in-person meetings where you have to go somewhere to have a meeting makes this process a lot easier. It's just been amazing, the transformation that has taken place in how we do business because of COVID-19. So thank you.
I have a question about something else on Doug's report, if I could.
Yes.
Just so we're clear on the division of labor, whose decision is it whether or not to go through with Wortstock in 2021? Is it Doug's or is it the board's?
I think I would propose it, but I think ultimately the board would need to green light that, considering the circumstances of where we're at now.
Okay. You'd
Where
make
we're
a
at right
recommendation.
now, June, I think, is starting to look a little unrealistic. Although pushing it back to later in the summer, I think may not be unrealistic. It's touch and go. I guess we're going to have to see how fast the vaccines get out, how smart people are in the next few months. There's going to be a lot of factors.
Okay, but in terms of authority, that you would make a recommendation and the board would have the decision-making authority.
I would feel most comfortable with that, because I don't know that I really feel comfortable making that call.
Okay. I'm comfortable with that as a division of labor. That's, but I thought it would be a good idea to have that stated clearly and understood before we get to that point, so that everyone understands how it will proceed.
Yeah, I appreciate that. For now, I have the date of June 6th, just in case we're able to do it. From a marketing standpoint, from a gathering standpoint, if we're clear by then, we're going to do really well, because people are going to be desperate to get out and to be amongst each other and hear live music again. So if we can keep the town safe and keep everybody smart, so far it hasn't really gone that way. And I just keep sitting back like this going, come on, people, smarten up. But I appreciate the question, Stu, and thank you for raising it.
I saw an interview with Anthony Fauci a few days ago, and he said he thought by the fall we might be back to more normal. So for what it's worth, from Fauci.
Yeah, the question is how many people will believe in the science and get the vaccine. So good. The next agenda item is the listener-sponsored development report. That's Susan's department. Checking, Susan is not on the call. And there is an action item, and that is to approve the community shares assurances letter. So every year we give community shares some documentation that basically says that we will use the money that community shares gives us for the purposes that we run the station. It's a whole page-long letter that says we approve all these things, and I hope you have had a chance to review that letter. We not only get money from community shares donors directly, but they also indirectly go the money from the State Employees Combined Campaign, or SECC, funneled through community shares to us, and together that's thousands of dollars a year. So it's very beneficial to us, and they want to make sure that we use those funds and stay true to our mission and what we do. So are there any questions about that letter? Hearing none.
Well, I mean,
okay.
it raises the larger question of what level of documentation actually requires board action and signature, and what level is so routine as to not.
So for the purposes of this document, that letter I will sign, and I will stipulate that Susan has the authority to sign the other forms that Community Shares has. And then I sent an email saying that I would like to start the process that on the meeting after the annual meeting, that we go through all the signatures and changes that we need to do at our financial institutions, and review all the signature authorities that the staff has, just so that everybody is clear and the new board members who are coming on board know that it's clear, and just make that a routine procedure. I'm not trying to deny staff people the authority to do that. I'm just trying to make it explicit every time there's a change in the board.
Okay. Well, I'll move to authorize you to sign the assurance letter and Susan to sign the other necessary documentation.
I second.
I'm catching
And
up.
then Dave, I believe the minutes need to reflect the same text that was in the December 2019 minutes. That's the language of the acceptance of the letter of assurance by the board. So you might be able to cut and paste the text from the 2019 board minute, because that was the suggested language from Community Shares.
Understood. And I will do that. And then I'm going to go into the station tomorrow or whenever it's ready to sign that document, because one of those documents has to be ink on paper for the State Employees Combined Campaign. Rosie,
Yep.
you seconded?
I did, yes.
So right now the minutes don't include that, but by the time I'm done editing, they will include that. Sybil, we're going to get to your action item in a minute. Are there, okay, all those in favor of the Community Shares document signing, say aye or raise their hands.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Are there any abstentions? So the next item is the music director report. Sybil has a request for 2 volunteers to come into the studio to do a single program each. Sybil, would you like to go ahead? You have to unmute.
I know. I just didn't know if you really wanted me to say something or not. One of them is here to speak on his behalf, but you all have the information. Did anyone have any questions about it?
Is it your recommendation / request that we approve this?
Yes, it is, especially since the timing means that hardly anyone is going to be around. I mean, I was, working out this afternoon, and I did not connect with Shali to ask for the details, but a fair amount of programs are going to be pre-recorded. So, as far as this timing for this particular request, which is a one-time thing, I think it's going to be really safe.
It has the full support of the staff collective. We talked about it in yesterday's staff meeting. Staff feels that the procedures for cleaning and for hygiene are well established now and well adhered to. So we're behind it.
Okay, thank you.
Tom D, did you want to say a word about the program?
Yeah, it's so nice to be here at this meeting. Actually, this is fun. You don't have to rush to my agenda item. But yeah, it's nice to see everyone, especially the voices I've heard over the years. I'm Tom, and I'm otherwise known as Bobby Light with Capital Boombox. I've been doing radio on WRT since May of 2015. And I probably only had about 2 or 3 actual daytime encounters with anybody with the station. So it's really nice, and it feels like there's a lot more, a lot of love here. So this particular program, the reason why I'm making the request, this would be the 6th annual Capital Boombox Talk Radio Special. Have you or someone you know seen a UFO? Started out in December 2015, just my brother and I in the studio, no promo or anything, just opened the lines up the last show of the year. And, it's tough keeping, yourself occupied for 3 hours when nobody's calling, but, we made it, we got 1 legitimate caller per hour. So that's always been the goal. To get one good caller an hour, and then otherwise you got to fill the time. So I got a great panel that I've built over the years. Several of the folks, Sam Madison, who's been involved, he's with WRT for years. He's been with me for 4 years, 5 years doing this. I think this will be his 4th or 5th year. So have a great diverse panel of skeptics and true believers. I'm a benevolent host, so anybody who calls in between 2 to 5 a.m. on WRT is accepted, and we'll hear them out. We've had a couple repeat callers over the years. So I understand if anyone's uncomfortable, it's nice to hear the collectives behind it. I would absolutely follow any protocols and be extra safe. I work in healthcare, work at UW Hospital, so I've been having to adhere to a lot of protocols and understand the risks. So definitely want to appreciate everybody's support, and certainly wouldn't make this request unless it had to be a live call-in show, and that's the only way I can see it making, because it's got to be a live, the community has got to be able to call in, and that's from 2 to 5 a.m. on December 24th, so it's Christmas Eve. Santa's a UFO, so we got that going for us too. So thank you for your time though, and I'll let you guys discuss it further.
That's
Thank you.
hilarious. Thank you. I called Arlene Zaucha, who is one of the members of the COVID-19 task force, at 6:30 and said, hi, at 7 o'clock, we have a board meeting and we're going to discuss this 2 people doing live shows in the next couple of weeks. How do you feel about that? And Arlene said, don't put this on me. It's not, I'm not the decision maker here. It's your decision as the board. And I said, how do you feel about it? And she said she would have preferred it to go through the process first, to go through the COVID-19 committee. And I said, well, there's just not the time to do that. We couldn't get that through the committee and then back to the board in time for this these 2 programs to happen. And I did relate to her that what Doug mentioned at the beginning of this discussion, that people are doing a much better job of filling out the logs and following the procedures. Sybil comments that she will work with the 2 volunteers to make sure that we follow the protocols. So I think we're going to be okay. But it's the decision of the board to whether we allow this or not. Are there any other questions?
And the 2 hosts of the respective shows will be the only people there at the time?
Mhm.
Or did I miss something?
For my show, I would be only in the building between probably, I would assume 1:30 in the morning to about 5:15, which is the only time I'm normally there.
Okay, but it'll be just you.
Only
Okay.
me. I would only be there. I would use probably some social media like this for my panel and plug that into one channel and then take calls on the other channel.
And you know what the protocols are, and you're going to abide by the protocols.
I have not been given a full instruction on the protocols, but I am feel fully capable of following protocol for help in my healthcare job and with whatever is expected. So
Yeah, I
I'm-
figured we would share that if this was approved, then,
Yeah.
we're going to go through and give all the information, answer any questions, and then get your written agreement.
Okay, and for the Wilson Brothers show, is that going to be two of them in?
No,
Or
it's going to
just
be
Ted?
it'll only be one guy, not the two
Okay.
of them. It's actually partly because the other guy, it's Jim, he's recovering from leukemia and he's, he's not really up for doing a show the next week anyway. So it will just be the one guy. No, you can't bring anyone else.
Okay, well, if it's just one person and they will at each time, and they'll each abide by the protocols that the committee already developed and which Rock and John followed for his show, I think it's probably okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
And I'm sorry, I missed what Shali's comment was. Oh,
She's offering help.
Shelley's offering instruction on Skype and Google Meet to help people host their shows utilizing the computers. That way, like, you wouldn't have to use your cell phone and plug it into the board. You could utilize the left to right computers to have people on Google Meet with you. So
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
yeah.
Sorry.
Now we can.
I don't think you could before. I just want to say we've been doing it day in and day out in news and talk. So there are some just basic things to watch out for that don't seem immediately apparent. So feel free to reach out to me if you want some help with that. I don't have your email.
Thank
And
you.
we do have cameras on the individual systems that are in the combos now. So doing video conferencing is very much easier with that.
Tom, are you in a freezer?
Well, kind of. I'm standing outside, so
We can see your breath.
Further discussion. So the question before us is, do we as a board approve this one time for these two hosts to come into the station to do their program? Further discussion, questions? Hearing none. All in favor, say,
Well, wait a minute. Somebody has to take responsibility for actually moving it.
no, it's a board report. So,
No, that's only committees.
No,
Someone does have to move.
okay.
Okay.
I'd be happy to do so.
Yeah, okay, go ahead, Doug.
I'd be happy to move to allow the two hosts to do their shows.
I'll second it.
And I want to put in commitment to follow the adopted protocols, and that the on-site presence be limited to just one person per show.
Oh, yeah, good addition.
I'll second that.
So moved with friendly addition.
And I will take
Okay,
responsibility to make sure that happens, to verify that.
Stu, could you repeat that language so I can get in here?
The motion is to approve the respective hosts as the sole on-site personnel with their commitment to follow the protocols as explained by Sybil. And you got and Tom D, do you have the answer to the Utah monolith?
Not yet, but I
Okay.
can ask. I can ask if anybody knows out there.
Okay.
You
'Cause
saw there's another one, right?
There are several.
I only saw the two, but that's crazy.
I would love for you all to join us. It's going to be great.
Past
So,
our bedtime.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'll be sleeping.
Maybe Megan will be up. Megan could listen. She's up.
I get up by the time it's 5, but it's ending at
Thank
have
goodness.
a-
I have a please leave by 9 sign hanging up in my house.
You too.
Yeah, which now during pandemic just means please go to bed by 9 p.m. self. So I don't know how much I can help with.
So Doug moved, Marla seconded. All in favor, say aye or give me a thumbs up.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no or give me a thumbs down. Are there any abstentions? The motion carries.
Thanks everybody. I'm super
Good luck.
excited. So I hope you all listen in if you can.
Thank you, Tom.
Take good care.
You
Be
too.
safe.
Thanks.
Maybe we could take a nap. Then come back.
It is Christmas Eve, so it's a long long weekend. Christmas Eve. Try it out.
And you can sure listen to it later. You just wouldn't be able to call in and tell your own story. But if you do stay up, you might see a UFO.
Yeah.
But Tom, this is just a great tie into the usual Christmas Eve Santa sighting whole routine. So
It's true. It'd be great. So thanks again, everybody. Take care.
There's always the archive
Thank
too,
you.
to
yes,
remind everybody.
Hey, Dave, this is Susan,
Yes.
and I missed the whole earlier thing, but did anyone get the part where I need the employer for all of the board members? I put the document in there and sent the email saying I need that, and you can either list an employer, this is for SEC, or the other categories are self-employed, unemployed, or retired.
I didn't stress that. So thank you for mentioning that. That's
Can we do
critical for
that now, and I'm just going to fill in the document?
All right. I'm going to do a roll call. Marla, you're employed.
I am. My employer is called The Employer Group.
And
Got it?
I'm Dave, and I'm.
Could
retired.
I do this down the
Sure.
list that I have maybe? Because
You can do
otherwise
that.
I'm typing and searching.
Okay.
The employer group. I know that group, Marla. Thank you. So Dave, what do you want me to put in there?
Retired.
Retired. And Stu?
Retired.
Okay. And Marty?
Marty's retired. Okay.
Retired. And Doug, I don't have to put you in there. I don't need one for you. And Alita?
Employed, MSD.
MSC?
Madison Metro.
School District.
MMSC. Got it.
SD, Madison Metropolitan School District.
Thank you. And Megan?
Employed, Wisconsin State Lab of Hygiene.
Okay. That's a long one. And Kurt?
The esteemed law offices of Kurt C. Cobelt.
So maybe self-employed?
Self-employed.
Yes.
And Eric?
Also self-employed.
I
Finished
thought
that
my mic was
LLC.
off. I'm sorry.
Employed. And Rosie?
Can I just give you one of them?
Yeah.
Great.
Sure.
Self-employed. Self-employed.
Okay. And Gil?
Retired.
Okay. And then I just had a question because I only caught the tail end of it, and then you guys went into something else real quick. Dave, what is it you're coming in to sign? I'm not clear because I don't show that any of the stuff for SEC requires a signature.
We'll talk about that offline. After the
Okay,
meeting.
I just want to say, I've already checked it with community shares. I don't need your signature for anything.
Okay. In past years, I've signed the letter from that the board approves, but that's fine. We'll talk later.
No, that's all I need for that is the final minutes from the meeting.
Okay.
You don't have to sign off on that. As long as those are incorporated into the meeting minutes, no signature.
Okay.
We're gonna have to change
Thanks.
the vote for it to go into the minutes correctly then. Otherwise, the minutes are gonna say we voted to have you sign it, Dave.
Susan, how do you need the motion to read?
Is it the same
As
motion
Doug
from
brought up,
2019?
right.
Yeah, like I said, if we cut and paste the language from the 2019 December board minutes, which are in the shared drive,
Okay,
that is the exact language that Community Shares needs to see in our minutes this year.
Do you want to hear them, Stu? Is that what you want?
Well, that might be helpful just for the vote. If you have it up.
I've got it. Oh, it's a fairly lengthy document.
No, not the
Right.
document, the minutes themselves. The
The
minutes
minutes just
themselves
have to
contain a little paragraph that
Yeah.
is the motion, and it's like a little 6-line paragraph.
Okay. But the document I'm looking at actually has a signature line on it.
It does.
That's my signature.
Okay.
And I have to include a copy of the minutes with that. And I'm signing that you incorporate the minutes by reference to that document.
Right, and this is just an affirmation that we are EEO, that we follow EEO rules, that we provide an annual report with our financial information. These are just the things that Community Shares want to check off, that we are a in good standing nonprofit organization and deserving of the money. That's really, for new board members especially, that's what this is all about.
Okay.
So I guess the motion is going to have to incorporate the document by reference, and the document has a title.
Yes, we already approved it, so I will make sure that the minutes correctly show that.
Okay, I just didn't hear in the thing that you adopted by reference the document, so I missed that part.
Yeah, I mean, and we're
All right.
Okay. Did our motion affirm the declarations for Community Shares?
Yes.
Okay, because that appears to be what we did in December of 2019.
And that document was in the shared drive and was part of the board report. So under listener sponsored development report. So
Got it. Thank you. I'm signing off. Sounds like you guys have it under control. Thanks a lot, and thank you for the employment information. Bye-bye.
Thank you for checking that.
Rock and roll.
Gotta turn my mic up.
The music director report was just finished. Go ahead, Stu.
No, I was going to say we've got more reports to do.
Yes. Next is the News, Talk, and Public Affairs report. Shelley Pittman put a report. It's in the shared file, and it was also mailed to people. And there is an action item to approve Shelley to hire a reporter and substitute public affair producer, Jade Aseri Ramos, as a 1-month LTE to help with the spring election candidate coverage. Shelley is here.
And I'm going to make that motion.
I'm going to second it.
I have a question. I just have one question. It looks like we're going to pay Jade with the money from the Google grant, yet lower in the report, it looks like we spent all the money for the Google grant. Am I reading that incorrectly?
No, I emailed, sorry if that was unclear. I emailed Suzanne to make sure I had the exact rundown of what we had spent. So we spent for $120 in recorders because we desperately need them. They are falling apart. I have an example.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
remember that from
imagine.
last meeting. Yeah.
Right. And so we have $4,580.97 left.
Got it.
Because I read the terms and conditions and it expires after 180 days.
Let's spend it.
And my original intent with that money, as you remember from when I talked at the board meeting last, a few months ago, was to hire someone, a reporter. And to be frank, it's something I would love to do and is really good for equity reasons and training youth. But I do not have the capacity to do that right now. I've seen Isthmus struggle with a similar situation. And frankly, hiring someone for like 2 months and paying them fairly with that money, that would just be spent like training and then they'd be gone. Maybe I could hold on to them. So, and it's been a wild ride. So we're doing that in the summer. Susan and I are working on it. We're building community coalitions to like do that really well in the summer. I just don't want to half-ass this. But as I was freaking out about how to use this money, it occurred to me that we have city council seats coming up, and I made the spreadsheet and I was like, there are so many of these. We can't do a virtual, or we can't have an in-person debate as WORT has historically done in partnership with Isthmus and the Progressive. And so this will require a lot more management in terms of social media and like digital outreach, which is part of why I want to pay someone, and also to just set it up. And I think doing it in January is actually a weird but cool idea. Usually you wait a little bit, but the primaries in February, mid-February, sorry, long day.
You know what, Shelley? We're all in agreement. I just wanted to understand, was I reading that incorrectly or not? So
yeah, that's my bad. I suck at numbers. So,
yeah, I don't want you to have to work any harder. So thank you. I appreciate it.
I do want to say some of it will go to microphones, and I don't really care if they go to music or news. Like, it's a news grant, but wherever they go, it's fine. And it works out to, if it's $60 a mic, it would be about 12 mics. And then Jade, gem that she is, offered to work on distribution of those microphones. And so I built in a couple hours for that too. And that would be really, really nice. But yeah, she's a great producer. She fills in for Rochelle. And this would be great for her resume and her development. So
yeah, and from an HR standpoint, it's really easy because she's already been on the payroll and we already have all her information. So easy peasy.
I just need to figure out the taxes because I'm not good at that. So, but that's it.
She may need a new tax form, Dave or Doug, if she hasn't filled one out in 2020. Okay.
Right, exactly.
And as a note, her name is Jade Isiri Ramos, just so.
Thank you.
Pretty name.
Who seconded?
I'll second it. I'll second it.
No, Doug did.
I did, but Marla can have this one. I don't care.
Thanks, Doug.
I'll give it to Marla. It's
Since we're
great
spending
resume.
money and I'm the staff rep, let's let Marla do it.
Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye or signify by raising your hand.
Aye.
All opposed, say no or signifying by thumbing down. I'm going to do one by liking on Facebook. All right, it's carried unanimously. Next item on the
It's Glenn, right?
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just keeping up with my notes here. Glenn, and Glenn, would you like to make some comments?
Yeah, it's Mike Ivy is been interested in joining the CAB. He applied right before the pandemic hit, and he joined. He's been part of the last two virtual CAB meetings, and he wanted to attend one at first just to see how it was. And he came back to the second one and was pretty enthusiastic, and everyone was enthusiastic about him. If you look at his application that I put in at the end of my report, his cab application, he's got a lot to offer. He's really engaged in the community, and he's retired and worth some time. He thinks the cab would be a good place for him with 6 to 8 meetings a year. He thinks that would be a good commitment level at this point. And so I think he's got a lot of good ideas. We just identified an item of recruiting new cab members a few weeks ago, and he had a lot of good suggestions. It hasn't become an actual agenda item until the next meeting. But anyhow, I think he has a lot to offer. And so he had unanimous recommendation to the board from the cab. And so it's up to you to approve him or not approve him.
I know Mike from newspapering. I think he's a great guy, and I'd move approval.
I'll second that for the same reason.
I think we'll start seeing a lot more bicycle programming. Cross-country skiing.
All in favor?
You're going to have to fight with the Friday Buzz over that one, huh?
Yeah.
We have a bike report.
Yeah, the only one.
The cross-country ski report.
There you go.
All in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Ski report would just be seasonal. The bike report is all year.
You never know.
Marla, were you an aye or are you thinking?
I'm thinking.
Okay.
How long is the cab seat?
It's an annual 1-year renewal.
Oh,
So
okay.
people can re-up anytime.
And how diverse is that group?
It's older people. We've got one person of color. It's not, the cab can have 6 to 18 members, and we have 7 now, I believe, or 6. And so we're talking about recruiting more. I don't think we should deny someone who's a good candidate. Personally, I don't think we should not deny someone who's a good candidate just because they don't bring traditional diversity to, I mean, each person has diversity of experience to bring, and I think he'd be a good addition.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Who is the youngest person on the cab? How old are they?
Megan is the board, well, she's not on the cab, she's the liaison.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
so on the
liaison.
cab, who is
We've
the
got
youngest person on the cab?
We've got a number of retired people. Yeah, it'd be great to recruit some younger people.
No, I'm just looking for a number. Who was the youngest person on the cab?
I don't know the ages of people, but
I don't
we've
think
got
we
a
can
number of
ask
retired people, and
Honestly, I don't think we're even allowed to ask such a thing. We
Oh,
can make certain assumptions, but
well, not when they're hired, but we can talk about it now. I think that's
I
allowed.
think it's safe to say they're older.
Okay.
yes,
Is there a limit on the
That's
number
the
of people who can serve on the cab?
18,
And how many are on there now?
I believe 7.
Well, then I don't think it makes, I appreciate Marla's question, but if there's still 10 or 11 vacancies, that gives us plenty upside for increased diversity. And it's not a reason, I don't think, to not take someone who's interested, even though they do not add to the diversity matrix.
Yeah. I appreciate that, Stu. I agree. If there's 18 seats, then we have the opportunity to, and I don't know who we are, but we have that opportunity, I think, to take a look at that cab committee, which I think, or whatever it is, work group committee, to really try to bring people in as part of our other diversity and inclusion and equity activities.
Absolutely.
To that end, it might be worth recording a promo and targeting that promo for cab recruitment in shows that specifically target people of color, and maybe people who are in the LGBT spectrum as well.
Yeah.
Since we have programming.
We do have that spectrum covered on the committee.
Well, right on, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying to find more diversity in
Sure.
I think it could go a long way because we're looking for people who aren't already affiliated with WORT other
Right.
than being a listener.
Right.
So
I like that idea. Okay. So I guess I'll vote aye.
Are there any no's? Please signify by giving us a thumbs down or saying no. Are there any abstentions to this vote? Hearing none, I will call that unanimous.
I will work with Doug to get it on the website, and I'll let Susan know to get it in the radio pilot.
Very good.
Thank you. He will join the CAB officially at the January 26th meeting.
Thank you. The next step is on the agenda is the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Task Force, and their report is in the drive.
One of the things before everybody got here, and there was just a few of us, I was asked to just check in whether we have decisions or not, and just talk about our process. So that's basically what I'm going to add right now, is that we've been learning the logic model, and I'm going to suggest that the folks that are present here, if you go to the link, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion report link, you'll end up on a page that has 12-15 Padlet. You don't need an account. You don't need to sign in. I just would suggest that you might want to take a look at it. It's been remarkably helpful at allowing all of us to have our individual input, but in a team fashion. It's been a wonderful, wonderful tool as far as I'm concerned. And then we give ourselves homework. So we've been learning the logic model. We've been learning Padlet. Honestly, I know I'm usually tech, but I have never seen it before. So it was very cool.
Thanks for the recommendation, Alita.
Yeah, it was wonderful. So what we've been doing is learning the model, having some preliminary discussions, and yesterday was our makeup meeting instead of last week. And we have a ton of homework for next month at this point.
Can you describe what Padlet is? Is it a website with a...
If you make me I was going to show you, but I didn't want to ask you to let me share a screen. But I would love to show you if you don't mind.
You are now a co-host.
Thank you.
There are links in the
Yep.
report. Yeah, and I opened it so I could see.
So I'll just quickly show you. I won't walk you through every single thing. I don't want to, I know we're at the end of the meeting and I don't want to bore everybody, but you should be able to see my screen now. It should be green.
Yep.
Okay. So basically what happens is, in conjunction with our agenda, there are items in Padlet and we go through what they mean, and for me, what the abbreviations are, because I don't always know. I'm constantly looking back to other people's reports to try and figure it out. So to catch up on that sort of thing. And we kind of start the conversation in one. And so for next month, I got to make you guys small here. As it was being explained, we typed in the assignment in each line. So just briefly, we went over some definitions of inclusion, equity, diversity. We need to go back to those. And by we, I mean all of the team members. We go back to the definitions we went over. Maybe we look up some of our own and we add what our individual thoughts are by clicking on the X, and then we can see each other's. And so the next month we can talk about what we did here and as it correlates to the logic model, and then set the next group of assignments. I don't know. I think it's for me, it's beyond helpful because some of this, how can I put this? Sometimes deep thought is necessary. And when I'm asked on the spur of the moment, hey, what do you think is the definition of? I might spit something out, but given a chance to sit back, think it through, and without stress or judgment, write what I really think it is, I find it to be helpful. I don't know if everyone, I mean, the DEI group seems to like this thing, but I'm only speaking for myself when I say I think it's awesome. But that's what we've been doing. So while we're learning about the logic model, we've been starting to facilitate it. And far as I can see, this month we made a heck of a lot of headway on what exactly we're going to accomplish for next month. And that's pretty cool. I don't see us coming with a report saying we want a motion or we want to do this for quite some time. But I was asked to at least share what it is we're doing. So that's what I'm showing you here.
Thank you very much. I think that what you're doing is very important to the station and to the community. So that's why it's good for you to keep us informed.
Well, somebody mentioned, oh, I just saw in the chat, yes, we're using the free version, or at least I am. And I learned, this was kind of cool. I don't know if you saw it, but it said anonymous. So Susan and I both joined the meeting and we used the link and we didn't even log in, and it allowed us to participate. And I was worried because I thought, well, I'll go away, come back, and my comments will be gone because I didn't log in, but they're still there. So if you have someone using Padlet and they share it with you, you don't even have to have an account, even the free one. I didn't have to log in. I just use the link and I see it and I participate. Just remember to put your name in, you know. But yeah, that's the answer to the question there.
Great, thank you.
You know, one of the things I'm going to ask too is, as everyone is discussing things, whether we're at the board meeting or in our individual committees, if there are particular areas that you feel should be brought up at some point this year or this, you know, this next year in the process, none of us would be against that. Just like we just had the conversation a minute ago and I was taking notes. I'm like, yep, that's something we ought to be thinking about for that particular committee. If anyone has anything that crosses their mind, shoot us an email. I mean, can't hurt.
Thank you very much. Other comments or questions? Okay. That's the end of the diversity, equity, and inclusion report. Does anybody have any items to be brought up in new business? There's going to be one item in closed session after new business. So board members, don't go away at the end of new business. All right. One last call. Anybody have any items to bring up for new business? Okay. That is the end of the regular part of the WRT Board of Directors meeting. I would ask people who are not board members to sign off the call, and then we'll have a short closed session, and then we'll end. Thank you very much.
I think this also includes Doug.
Does the topic involve me directly?
It involves personnel. Yes, it involves personnel.
Oh, in a general sense?
Yep.
Yeah, then I'll drop off.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, like if it's about check-ins or something, I don't want to be in on that. All right, everybody have a great night. Oh, I did have one more piece of news. I got engaged last week, for those who didn't know.
Oh, that's great.
Congratulations.
Hey,
Yeah,
congrats.
after this COVID stuff's over, I'm going to get married.
I was going
Congratulations.
to say, you can have a Zoom wedding.
It was
No.
so cool on Facebook, Doug.
Yeah, awesome.
Sweet.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, more news. There'll be a big party when it finally happens.
Woo-hoo.
Small wedding, big party. So
Yeah.
that's
Congratulations.
Good priority.
and happy holidays, everybody. See you in
Happy
January.
holidays. Goodbye,
Thank you very
Doug.
much.
Thank you.
Where the hell's the leave?
Bottom right.
Thank you very much.
And now that we need to report what we just did.
Okay. Hang on a second.
I mean, just put it in the minutes that you know, the action that we took goes in the minutes. That the board authorized a $250 payment for permanent staff, for members of the staff collective. in recognition of their service this year.
And what did you call the service? Meritorious, did you say? How did you describe it? Okay. And,
He just said for their service this year is what he said, but you could say for their service during the pandemic.
thank you. In the closed session, the board approved a $250 bonus for all full-time staff in recognition of their extraordinary service during the pandemic.
Fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now,
Move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Second.
Eric, oh, okay.
Stu must have beat me because I heard him say it, me say it at the exact same time.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
heard
He must
Stu a
have beat me.
millisecond sooner. So all in favor,
He's
say
already
aye.
leaving the room.
Aye.
All opposed, say no.
Aye.
Are the abstentions? Thank you all. Thank you.
Okay,
You
have
are a
a
wonderful
safe
board.
and happy holiday season,
Yes.
everybody.
Thank you,
All
everyone.
Marla,
Yes,
was that what you were looking for?
yes, thank you very much.
Marla,
I appreciate it. Thanks.
you too. You have a great Happy New Year.
Yeah, you too. See you in
Bye, everybody.
2021.
Oh my gosh, that freaks me out.
Yeah. Hey, 1 year closer to retirement. That's the way I look at it, Rosie.
Oh, that's a good plan.
Yeah. Mhm. Yep.
Okay,
Have a
bye-bye.
good one.